Welcome to another episode of the Be Fearless podcast. And today I bring you an amazing guest. But first, I want to give a shout out to Chile, that country in South America that I love so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for picking up the podcast this month. And without further ado, today our guest is the visionary founder of B.O.L.D Industry Groups with over 20 years of experience in healthcare and a relentless drive to inspire and empower women globally. Leigh shares her journey and the creation of her transformative platform. Let's welcome the one and only Leigh Burgess. Welcome, Leigh.
Thank you very much. What a great intro.
Yay! Well, you're welcome. I mean, you're well deserved too. I mean, you work so hard. Where you are today? Where you
I'm in
coming
New
from?
Hampshire, so New England. Yeah, it's getting
Yay!
to be hot in summertime here.
Yeah, I'm in Virginia, so we kind of like finally we have had a couple of weeks that we is being hot.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Here, I mean, I don't know if you have been in Virginia before, but here we have like we can have all the seasons in one day.
Yeah, it's the
It's
East Coast. Yeah, so like
yeah,
I'm in New England, so it's a little different, but it's definitely been warmer than usual. So we've had the last
yeah.
couple weeks, and it's been like lovely, like 60s and 50s in the evening, and
Aw.
so yeah. So I'm just glad it's warmer, and we don't have any snow right now. So
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only thing I don't like from Virginia, the winter time.
Oh,
But you
I
know,
love
like
yeah, I love the winter. I love 4 seasons. I love them all. We just have a very short spring here in New England. Spring is kind of non-existent or very late, and then
mhm.
fall and winter and summer are just gorgeous.
Are you natural from New Hampshire or?
No, no, I actually from all over, I guess. Like I grew up always on the East Coast though, except for a stint in Ohio for a little bit, but mostly East Coast girl and just really love 4 seasons of weather. And so wherever I've lived, it's had that. So I've been in North Carolina, and that's where I was there before I came here.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So for the people that doesn't know Leigh Burgess, who was Leigh Burgess growing up and what was her dream?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I think I've asked this question of my own membership group, but like, what did you think you were going to be and like where did you end up being, right?
Mhm.
And I think it's for me, I'm still becoming. I'm still evolving and figuring it out. But when I was younger, I thought I wanted to be a heart surgeon at Duke. I was, wanted to be important in the sense of helping people and help save their lives. I guess that was my intention. That was like my freshman year high school. And then as I got older, I kind of, went into college and got into business administration and nursing. And then for a long time, I was in academic healthcare and worked in large academic organizations, primarily in clinical research. So, a great place for me to be kind of innovative agitator, kind of moving things forward quicker, better, faster, higher levels of quality. Really, really a good place for me to be because a lot of the times clinical research is where hope is found.
Mhm.
For half of my career, I worked in cancer specifically, so very important role for clinical research, and then had the opportunity to work across all disease areas. And then in 2020, after that long time in an industry I really, really loved, just was burnt out and got to a point where I needed to choose me, my family, my relationships, my health, and I quit my job without having a job. So that was my big swing of bold at that point in time, middle of 2020, pretty gnarly year for the world, and but I just had to make that change and didn't have it planned, didn't have this plan for years in advance. It was just a bold decision I made very thoughtfully, and
Mhm.
then that's how Bold Industries Group was born.
Awesome. Um, so what is your bold framework?
Sure. So the Bold framework actually was created during that time after I resigned because I didn't really know what was next. So I needed to
Mhm.
find my what's next. And I think at 48, I could be anything I wanted to be. And I was like,
Exactly.
that's pretty awesome. Like,
I love that you said that. I love that you said that. I'm gonna interrupt you
yeah,
right here for a
okay.
second because I've been having certain conversations and battling with some people because you know how society have told us from I think the last century up to now that we can just be one thing. Like if you try to be more than one thing or like then you also have a time frame to do it. Like after a certain age, like you're not supposed to do anything else. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, the
Yeah,
older that you are, the more experienced you are, the bolder you get. And I mean, you should like go and do whatever you want. Like you shouldn't be like be limited by anything. So
right.
I love that you said that, that it, you just decided to pursue this at this
Yeah.
time and place in your life. It's
Which is
amazing.
like almost backwards because I think people think at that age, like you should be, waiting
Getting
to
ready to
retire.
end.
Yeah, waiting to retire or whatever's next that way. A lot of that I never aligned with. And so I think, my burnout, I missed a lot of the signs along the way of what I was doing. I tried to do the same thing that worked in the past to get through things, which was to work harder, to work longer, to do more, and that backfired. It just
Mhm.
burnt me out even more quicker and faster. But I could be anything I wanted, which I hadn't thought about probably since I was 18 or 22. Like, when you're going into college and when you're coming out of college. And it was really an odd feeling to have, but I knew I needed to also reset myself because I had let my emotional, physical, spiritual, and mental health really go because I was just performing and focusing on strategy at my job. And so the bold framework really was built out of me understanding my beliefs. So the way that it works is it's an acronym: believe, own, learn, design. And you start with your beliefs and understanding, are they helping, hindering, or holding you back? And I
Mhm.
really had to unpack some of the things about myself. I was a very confident person, but I think I had the way that I spoke to myself or my self doubt that between my ears that would happen, I could talk myself out of things. And I knew as an entrepreneur, like I had to be all in on me and I had to bet on me. And it was really important for me to unpack that. And then I had to realize what I owned and didn't own. A lot of the things I think that led to my burnout was me owning things that weren't mine to own, like making sure things didn't fall down or break or get in, and really like, whoa, I just need to do my job well. I don't need to do everybody else's job. But I think I really felt I was doing a lot of things that are probably outside of really what I owned or was responsible for. And I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn from what worked and what didn't work. And I wanted to celebrate success as well, which I didn't do that very well. Like if I would succeed or have some great milestone, I would, no, that's good. That's great. No attention. Let's move forward. And so I wanted to kind of sit in that a bit and understand what I'd learned throughout 48 years of living and how was I going to apply it moving forward. So using that growth mindset. And then D is the design. And that's the best part. You get through all of that and you're like, how do I design my life based on my beliefs, my understanding of what I own and what I've learned? And let's get at it. And then you
Mhm.
start doing the work because being bold is a choice. It's not something that happens automatically. And it's not something that, is just bestowed upon you. You got to do the work.
Definitely. Can
Yeah.
you go more into detail about the belief own learn design concept?
Sure. Yeah. So that concept really is what I use to also write the book. So my book, Be Bold Today, really it walks you through that. So there's a heavy section of it that really talks about our beliefs around being bold. So if we start there, there's 5 really big myths that I think come up. One of them is that you're too old to be bold. So someone could say at 50 or 52 or 48 or whatever age you are, that you're too old to be bold, meaning like it's too late. And that is just a myth in itself. Like that's a belief that can hold you back, right? Or can hinder you from moving forward. And at times it could actually harm you if you're not taking advantage of things that might be coming your way. I think the another myth is that being bold means you're always confident, and that isn't the case. You could be a confident person. I think being bold leads to higher confidence, but a lot of the times you're being bold, like you're not 100% certain it's going to, work or pan out like you thought it would be. Like you're really going through the paces of figuring it out and taking those steps forward. So it doesn't mean you're always confident. I think the other thing is that myth is that being bold is always loud and big and on social media, and it just isn't. Some of my boldest moments are quiet. No one knows about them. They might just happen, again, between my ears with myself, my self-talk. And I think people need to understand that. It's personal. So
Yeah.
like it's not your definition of bold and my definition of bold. We may have some similarities, but it's personal as to how I live it out. Because some people, like being bold, let's say they want to get out and move, and walking around the block is a big deal. Like that's a bold move for them to get out and walk around the block 5 days in a row or 5 out of 7 days of the week. And someone else may look at that and go, well, my bold move is getting promoted in my role, and I talked to my boss about it, and I stood up for myself and advocated for myself and told them kind of what I was up for. So it's a personal move. So boldness really is on a continuum from quiet, introspective, thoughtful planning all the way to those big, brave, courageous things you see people do. And it's personal. So don't look to compare yourself to someone else's bold definition. So that really is what we do in belief. And we really, really dig into that and do an audit on your belief system and kind of what's in there. Ownership, like I mentioned, is really about owning your successes and owning your failures and not owning what you don't own. So I don't know if you've ever maybe possibly felt more responsible for something or owning something that wasn't your to own, and then it becomes very frustrating or overwhelming or just tires you out. Those are the things that I did to myself, and I have to own that I did it.
Mm-hmm.
My boss didn't tell me go own this, own this, own this, own this. They expected me to perform, which I was, but I started to own and try to protect and try to keep things from happening, or try to, because I have an ability to see ahead as much as what's happening now. And it just took on a life of its own. And I just got to a point where I was just owning too much. So I think it's important when we think about what we own and what we don't own, just really sitting down with yourself, even making a simple T chart of plus and minus and saying own, don't own, and kind of like writing things down of what you're owning right now, what you're responsible for, and then going back to that list and going, do I really own this, or should I be owning this? Like we think about our relationships or our jobs or what our goals may be. Like there are certain things that we absolutely do own. And I think, many people have said this, but no one's coming to save you. And so making sure you own the right parts of your next steps is really important. And then
Mm-hmm.
applying that learning, so that growth mindset, we can all get in a fixed mindset zone every now and again. But I've primarily lived in growth mindset my entire life, meaning I'm going to try something, I'm going to do something. I can't guarantee the result, but I'm going to be very thoughtful and pragmatic. And that's the one of the five myths about boldness as well, is that it's always something that that is, you look before leaping and you don't really think, and it's a thoughtless act. And being bold is very thoughtful. Most of the time, when you're making a bold move, or you feel that those butterflies in your stomach or your gut kind of telling you, "Oh, I really need to make a change," that's a bold time, right? So I think it is not always a time that you know exactly what you're going to do next. And I think it's really important for people to understand that in the sense of their growth mindset and where they are. And then the designing, really, I think about our human design. And then I also use concepts around interior design, which sounds kind of interesting, right? So human design really is based on where you were born, what time you were born, and all the different pieces and parts of that make us up, right? In a
Mm-hmm.
human design aspect. And I learned about that in that time period after I resigned, because I did my own human design chart. I worked with a reader, and then I actually ended up doing my entire family's. And what's interesting is like where one channel began, another person's started as well. So we actually created a complete channel with both of our gifts in that we had. And I'm a manifesting generator, which like really fits me very well, in the sense of like, I want to make things happen, I want to do things that make a difference. And learning that about myself was really, really important. And where interior design came in, and I'll end there, is it was one of the things when I was like, oh, I could be anything I wanted to be. I was like, I want to be an interior designer. I love designing. I love going shopping. I love figuring out the pieces of the puzzle when you have a room and how to make it shine. But I also like the concepts and around design, which is like balance, harmony, white space, and thinking about those things within our world, like how to create balance. How do we create harmony? Do we
Mm-hmm.
have any white space in our brain right now? Or is it just filled with lots of things that are kind of maybe jumbling up, and then we can't appreciate what we're looking at, or what, even our life as a way. So like a great example of that is social media. So last weekend, for the first time ever in my life, I deleted just the face of the app off of my phone. Sounds like a simple thing. It was
Hmm.
life changing for me. I've advised other people to do it, but I've never done it. And the things I got accomplished, the way I felt, my conversations, my presence, it was another level. And I come into this week kind of really, really excited about learning that about myself and then designing kind of how I'm going to do work the rest of this week and how I'm going to use social media. So it was creating a lot of negative white space. Like I had no white space because I was constantly on responding or, reacting. And
Yeah,
I just don't need to do that.
yeah, definitely. Um, I love the concept. I love bold. Now, as everything that we try to implement in our life, there's always some challenges that people faces. What
Sure.
are some of those common challenges that you have seen people face when trying to unleash their potential?
Right. Well, I think being bold sometimes and rightfully understood is a privilege, right?
Yeah.
Because it feels like sometimes based on your responsibilities or how you were brought up or what's expected of you, the conventions, like there are things kind of you might feel working against you. Like I can't be bold. There's too much on my shoulders. I'm too, no one will, listen to me or whatever it may be. And whether you're a woman, a person of color, or being bold sometimes doesn't feel like you can be that. I'll speak to
Mhm.
being a woman that being bold sometimes you get a bad rap as a woman. You get the you're too and then insert whatever comes after that. So too straightforward, too loud, too whatever. I've been got a lot of twos.
Let me say, to oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm thinking in Spanish.
Yeah, no, go ahead, say it in Spanish. Go ahead, say it.
um, oh my God, like when we inquire too much or request too much or demanding, too demanding.
Too
I
demanding,
think,
too
yeah,
high of
that's
yeah, too high of
yes,
expectations.
yes.
So I've worked in places that expect a lot of harmony, meaning you don't ask questions, you don't disrupt. I'm a disruptor. Like I just naturally am. I'm not trying to be a pain, but I am going to ask questions that stretch us, that make us better, that make us more thoughtful, and maybe help us see the bigger picture so that we could move forward faster. It may slow us down a
Mhm.
little bit, but we're going to get there. And so I think there's a lot of times that being bold, I think, as a woman can get a bad rap. And so I think it's important when you're making that thought or you're getting to that point where something should be different or you're curious about what could be or you just feel like something's got to give. Like I
Yes.
don't know if you've said that. Like something's got to give. Like my schedule is crazy or my, relationships just not where I want it to be or my job is driving me nuts or my boss is, too much. Something's got to give. I've certainly said that. And so it's like, okay, dig into that. Okay, what's got to give? Like is it your time? Is it your schedule? Is it you need to have that frank conversation about your relationship? So that's right there. Just doing that is a bold move and it's going to lead to the next. And I think that's the most important thing about making a bold move is that next step, right? It's the if I think it, what do I do next? So let's just use the relationship as an example.
Mhm.
So something's got to give with my relationship with my boyfriend and or my husband or whoever it may be or girlfriend, whatever. So I think, in that sense, it's like, okay, what is it about? Well, we don't spend enough time together and we just seem to be going through the motion, but we're not really connecting, okay, so what could we do? Okay, well, I find that we're, just only texting each other and we never talk. Okay, let's start having a conversation. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to have a phone call. I'm going to do something. And this sounds like simple stuff, but sometimes being bold is the simple stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's not this complex algebraic, solution that you've got to figure out. It's like literally I just need to have a conversation with my significant other that something's got to change. We need to start
Exactly.
talking more, right? So I think we overcomplicate being bold sometimes, and I think that's what keeps people then from being bold, right? They think of the bigness of it, and it stops them in their tracks.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so good. So good. And I believe all this is embodied and encapsulated in your book, Be Bold Today,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So let's say I buy the book as a reader, what promises or what I can expect from your book as a
Sure.
reader?
Yeah, so it's Be Bold Today, Unleash Your Potential, Master Your Mindset, and Achieve Success. So we're going to dig into each part of the framework. So you're going to expect to go through the framework. And each part of the framework, you're going to do activities. You're going to use the resources that I have in the book, and you're going to see the examples of those that have been bold. And there's some bold examples of people making moves in business, people making moves in their hobby, people making moves in their relationships.
Mhm.
And you're going to see that throughout the book. So you're going to experience the bold framework, but we're going to go deep into beliefs. And the reason that I spend extra time on that B is that it's the lever for every action after, right? So our beliefs are so, so important. The way you talk to yourself, the way that you look at your successes and their failures, the way that you see others around you and how they're treating you. Like sometimes people get a victim mentality of like, oh, they owe me and I did so much for them. And I fall into this every now and then. I'm like, whoa, whoa, nobody owes me anything. I need to work hard. I need to do my stuff. I need to focus on my goals and focus on me and what I'm trying to accomplish. So we really dig deep into the B beliefs. We talk about the myths that I just talked
Mhm.
through in general, but we talk about them in detail. And then you're going to get into the framework and you're going to, at the end of the book, have your own designed blueprint. Right. So you're going to go through the B.O.L.D, get to D. In that final chapter, you're actually going to design your next bold steps and then have access to the resources. And anyone that pre-orders the book actually gets the workbook that goes with the book. So then you don't have to like use the book and those types of things. I hate to write in my book, but so you'll have the workbook to go along with it if you pre-order the book.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And we're going to talk about where people can get the book in a minute.
Yeah,
I have one more question for you.
sure.
As a dynamic speaker, coach, and consultant, what are some of the most impactful transformations that you have witnessed through your career?
Yeah. I think what's interesting about this and my hundreds of conversations I've had on my podcast, The Bold Lounge, where I ask everyone their bold definition and what was their most memorable bold move. And through my coaching clients and through my memberships and the events that I've had, like the Bold Retreat and Bold Table, I think I've seen things like people really choose to have happiness in their life, to leave relationships that aren't feeding them or nurturing them, to leave or begin new roles. So leave a role that isn't aligned with their passion and their purpose, or where they feel they're not being treated like they should be treated, and moving into a role that is more aligned, or changing within their own organization how they want to work with others. I think those are some of the biggest ones I've seen. I mean, people have started businesses, people have ended relationships that aren't working. They've started new ones, kind of because it's kind of hard sometimes in your 40s and 50s if you've said, I'm not going to do this anymore, but I want to start a new relationship. And then how do you put yourself out there? That's bold. What do I do? What does that look like? What's dating at 50 look like? I don't know. So I think those are some bold moves that I've definitely seen transform people's lives. And what's so interesting about when you're bold, it ripples, and meaning that it touches everyone around you and they see what you did, they see what you survived or went through or chose, and you inspire others without even knowing it. And I think that's just so important for you to realize when you choose yourself, you choose your happiness, you choose your joy, and you're doing it for good. Like it can not only have a positive effect on you, it's going to have a positive effect on the others around you who know you, who love you, who want you to, do good in the world too. They're going to also feel that.
That's fantastic. I love that. Now, before we go into letting know our audience where they can connect with you, I have one more question for you, and that's what are three hot tips that you can tell the audience that they can start implementing today to be more bold?
Right. Ask yourself, have you said, going back to what we just talked about, something's got to give. Have you said that in the last 30 days? Something's got to change. I'm curious about, or something's got to give. Write that down. So then you write down. So you write down what you want to change or get curious about. And then what's the first step you could do? Let's do something fun. I just want to get out more. I want to travel more. After the pandemic, we're all kind of emerged now, but like, people still are kind of getting back into the group. Maybe you want to go to Italy, but that's expensive. It's might be scary to travel internationally. Like, who knows, like what comes up for you there, but it's on your list of what you want to do. Well, just start maybe learning the language, start maybe doing that app with Italian, maybe take a cooking class that's Italian. So like start to kind of lean into that, and then really, number 3, write it down, create a vision board, create your goals and what you want to accomplish out of that. I'm a very vision person. Like I have to see it, so I need the visuals and I need those types of things. So even like this week, I'm going to refresh my vision board for this year. So, and with that, when I look at it, I was like, if I have that on my vision board, what do I have to do? Because when you write it down and put it out there, it isn't just rolling around in your head. Oh, like you think about it, you write it down, you're looking at it, and then go back and revisit it. And so, and just, I think with that, you've started your bold move. And so, if we go to that cooking class example, is like find cooking classes in the area. Okay, that's pretty easy. Google. Okay, well, what's next? And so it starts that forward movement, like, oh, I'm now in it. And that's why it's so important. Just that first step leads you to the next, to the next, to the next. And so that's how you start.
I love it. Thank you so much for those tips. You are amazing. I love everything that you have created. I can't wait to read your book
Yeah,
and
let's get it
work with
translated
it.
into Spanish for Chile.
That will be
Yeah.
great for people in Chile.
Yeah,
You
let's get
know,
people today in Spanish.
yes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here today. Now, where people can connect with you?
Yeah. So my website is the best place to go. It's LeighBurgess.com. You have it right there. You can learn all about me. On the very front page is the book. So you can pre-order the book and you'll get the workbook. But you can learn all about the things that I do, the events, as well as the consulting that I do. And so there you'll be able to sign up, learn about all the things Bold, and be part of the Bold community.
That's awesome. And any social media?
Yeah, so my Instagram, I just started that in April. So there is a great place to connect with me. I have a lot of fun there. And then I'm also on LinkedIn. So that's the other place if you're on LinkedIn. But follow me on Instagram. I'd love to have more followers and to be able to connect with you. I share snippets of Bold stories, of my podcast, and of my life there.
Awesome. I love that. I'm gonna be following you soon. Uh,
Excellent.
Well, Leigh, thank you so much for sharing everything that you do and share your knowledge. I am so excited for your upcoming publication, and I definitely wish you the best of success. You guys, don't forget to go and connect with Leigh. Um, I said Leigh, but it's Leigh.
Yes, Leigh, you
Yeah,
got it right. Yeah,
Leigh.
you're spot on. Leigh Burgess, you got it.
Leigh Burgess.
Yes.
Please connect with her. Her work is definitely something that is going to be transformative for you, and perhaps you can actually share it with someone you love, and they can share. I mean, become bold in
Mhm.
their life and achieve success. So, thank you so much for being here today. Don't forget, you guys. Until next one, to unlock your potential and be fearless. Bye.